The internet you use every day represents roughly 4% of what actually exists online. The remaining 96% operates beneath the surface, layered, encrypted, deliberately architected to resist observation. Within that hidden architecture, marketplaces emerged that processed more transaction volume per month than some national economies. Law enforcement agencies around the world could see the damage flowing outward, the drugs arriving in mailboxes, the stolen identities draining accounts, the exploitation material circulating without apparent origin. But the source remained structurally unreachable. The encryption was too strong, the anonymity too layered, the servers too distributed. That was the premise, at least, the foundational promise that drew hundreds of thousands of users into dark web marketplaces with the confidence that mathematics itself guaranteed their freedom. The FBI spent years proving that promise wrong, not through traditional investigation, not through informants or physical surveillance or wiretaps. Through something far more unsettling to the criminal ecosystem, the Bureau learned to exploit the same digital architecture that was supposed to make these platforms invincible. They hacked back the infrastructure of invisibility. To understand what the FBI dismantled, you first need to understand what was built. The Tor network, originally developed by the United States Naval Research Laboratory, routes internet traffic through multiple encrypted relays, each one stripping away a layer of identifying information. By the time a user's connection reaches its destination, the original IP address has been buried under so many layers of redirection that tracing it back becomes, in theory, computationally impossible. Dark web marketplaces exploited this architecture to create commercial platforms for illegal goods. Silk Road, launched in 2011, proved the model viable. At its peak, it facilitated over $1.2 billion in transactions. But Silk Road was primitive by later standards, a proof of concept that demonstrated appetite. What followed was an arms race. Each successive marketplace incorporated lessons from its predecessor's failure: better operational security, more distributed hosting, cryptocurrency, tumbling to obscure financial trails, deadman switches designed to destroy evidence if administrators were compromised. By 2014, dozens of marketplaces operated simultaneously, collectively processing drug sales, weapons transactions, stolen data, and exploitation material at a scale that made Silk Road look like a corner store. The infrastructure had matured beyond any single operator. It had become an ecosystem, and it had a structural vulnerability that its architects never adequately addressed: the Playpen paradox. In December 2014, FBI agents identified a dark website called Playpen. It hosted child sexual abuse material, over 117,000 registered users accessing some of the most severe exploitation content investigators had ever documented. The site operated on Tor. Its servers could have been anywhere on Earth. Traditional methods offered nothing. Subpoenas require a target. Warrants require a jurisdiction. When neither the operator's identity nor the server's location is known, the legal apparatus designed for physical world crime becomes inert. The FBI's solution redefined the boundaries of digital law enforcement. In February 2015, agents seized Playpen's server through methods that remain partially classified, but they did not shut the site down. Instead, they operated it for 13 days while deploying a network investigative technique, a piece of code authorized by a single warrant issued in the Eastern District of Virginia that exploited a vulnerability in the Tor browser to reveal the true IP addresses of users who accessed specific content. 13 days, one warrant, over 8,700 IP addresses identified across 120 countries. Illegal implications were immediate and severe. Defense attorneys argued that a single warrant could not authorize searches on thousands of computers across hundreds of jurisdictions. Courts split on the question. Some cases were dismissed, others were upheld. The Department of Justice successfully pushed for amendments to Rule 41 of the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure, expanding magistrate judges' authority to issue warrants for remote access searches, regardless of where the target computer was physically located. The FBI had not just conducted a raid, they had established a precedent for how digital territory could be legally penetrated. Operation Onymous and the myth of distributed safety. While Playpen demonstrated the Bureau's willingness to operate offensively in digital space, a parallel effort was dismantling the commercial infrastructure that sustained dark web commerce. In November 2014, Operation Onymous, coordinated between the FBI, Europol, and law enforcement agencies across 17 countries, seized over 400 hidden service addresses in a single 72-hour window, Silk Road 2.0 was among them. So was Cloud9 and Hydra and Blue Sky and more than 24 other marketplaces. The operation's most disorienting feature was not its scale but its method. Investigators had somehow identified and located servers that were supposedly unreachable. The Tor project itself published a statement acknowledging they did not know how the de-anonymization had been achieved. Speculation centered on compromised entry nodes, on traffic correlation attacks requiring resources only nation-states possessed, on collaboration with academic researchers at Carnegie Mellon University who had developed Tor breaking techniques and may have shared findings with the Bureau before publishing them. The FBI declined to explain its methods. In court proceedings related to Silk Road 2.0, the Bureau cited classified techniques and national security concerns. The message to dark web operators was clear through its deliberate ambiguity. You do not know what we can see and we will not tell you. That uncertainty proved more destructive to the ecosystem than any single arrest. AlphaBay and the infiltration model. By 2017, the landscape had consolidated. AlphaBay, launched in December 2014, had grown into the largest dark web marketplace in history, over 350,000 listings for drugs, stolen data, malware, and counterfeit goods. Its administrator, a 25-year-old Canadian named Alexandre Casas, operated from Thailand with an estimated personal fortune exceeding $23 million in cryptocurrency and Thai property. Casas made a single operational error in AlphaBay's earliest days. A welcome email sent to new users originated from an address, pimp_alex_91@hotmail.com, that was traceable to his real identity. The FBI had identified him as early as 2015, but instead of immediate arrest, they watched, they mapped, they waited for a coordinated moment of maximum impact. On July 5, 2017, Thai police arrested Casas at his home in Bangkok. Critically, they reached him while his laptop was still open and logged into AlphaBay's administrative backend. Encryption means nothing when the door is already unlocked. AlphaBay went dark. Its 400,000 users scattered. Many migrated to Hansa Market, the next largest platform. They migrated into a trap, the Dutch maneuver. Dutch National Police had seized control of Hansa Market a full month before AlphaBay's takedown. For 30 days, law enforcement operated one of the world's largest drug marketplaces, while recording every transaction, every message, every login credential, every delivery address. This was not reactive investigation. This was strategic herding. When AlphaBay collapsed, the influx of refugees to Hansa delivered thousands of previously unknown vendors and buyers directly into a law enforcement monitoring system. Dutch investigators recorded over 10,000 unique delivery addresses. They intercepted messages revealing real identities, banking details, and supply chain information that connected dark web vendors to physical world drug manufacturing operations across 3 continents. The combined AlphaBay Hansa operation represented something qualitatively different from previous raids. It was not a door being kicked in. It was the entire room being rebuilt around its occupants without their awareness. A digital panopticon constructed in real time. If you're trying to understand the scale of what this surveillance captured and how it reshaped international drug enforcement strategy, consider the downstream arrests. Over 200 individuals across Europe and North America, within 6 months. Supply chains disrupted from Dutch MDMA labs to Australian methamphetamine distributors to American fentanyl networks. The encryption arms race continues. Each operation exposed vulnerabilities. Each exposure triggered adaptation. Marketplace administrators implemented multi-signature escrow systems, warrant canaries, decentralized architectures that eliminated single points of failure. Communication shifted to platforms offering forward secrecy. Transactions migrated from Bitcoin, whose public ledger had proven forensically useful to investigators, toward Monero, designed from inception for untraceable transfers. The FBI adapted in parallel. Blockchain analysis firms like Chain Analysis received federal contracts worth tens of millions. The Bureau recruited directly from the hacker community, the same talent pool that built the tools being exploited. NSA developed capabilities, shared through classified channels, augmented domestic law enforcement in ways that remain largely unacknowledged in public court proceedings. The result is a landscape where neither side maintains permanent advantage. Every technique has a shelf life. Every countermeasure invites a countermeasure. The dark web did not die, but it lost the illusion of absolute safety that once defined its appeal. What remains beneath? Today, dark web marketplaces still operate. Drugs are still sold. Data is still stolen and traded. Exploitation material still circulates through networks designed to resist observation. But the operational calculus has permanently changed. Every user now operates with the knowledge proven repeatedly across a decade of raids that the person on the other side of an encrypted connection might be a federal agent, that the marketplace itself might be compromised, that the server they trust with their identity might already sit in an FBI evidence facility in Quantico. The largest dark web raids did not eliminate anonymous cybercrime. What they eliminated was certainty. The mathematical guarantee that once drew users into hidden services has been replaced by a persistent question that no encryption protocol can answer: who is already inside? That question has no expiration date, and the FBI has demonstrated no interest in providing reassurance. The 8,700 IP addresses harvested from Playpen, the 10,000 delivery addresses recorded on Hansa, the classified techniques referenced in sealed court filings. These represent the operations that became public. They represent the cases where prosecution required disclosure, the operations that never required a courtroom, the intelligence gathered, the networks mapped, the capabilities tested without charges ever being filed. Those remain in systems the public has no mechanism to audit. The dark web's users built their empire on the assumption that invisibility was a mathematical property. The FBI proved it was only ever a temporary condition.